Hey everybody, Irfan here with another episode of the Cryptopolitan podcast. And today we have Steve and Eduardo from Propto. Guys, how are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us on.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, just jumping right in, why don't we talk about your project just from like a 30,000 foot level, just so like even the people who are like brand new to crypto, can't spell blockchain, can kind of figure out who you are, what you do, and who's it for.
Super. Well, look, I'm Steve Blanc, so co-founder and CEO of Propto. Propto is an alternative investment platform. We're regulation first. We're Ireland's first entrance into the EU blockchain sandbox, and we've built our own proprietary technology that allows you to tokenize companies, funds, ETFs or ETPs, or real estate
Hmm.
in the form of shares or bonds. Very simple user experience with consumer protection.
Fantastic. So is this like an alternative from people who want to raise like a Series A, Series B type of thing? Is this kind of a different methodology by which for them to raise capital from a different type of market? Like,
Yeah,
tell me about it. Yeah.
certainly it can be. Yeah, like it's really what we're building is the ability for retail investors to
Mhm.
invest in assets that they normally would be locked out of. So it's democratizing access to investments. And then for large asset owners, the ability to
Mhm.
sell off portions of companies or proportions of income producing assets, such as commercial real estate or impact investments, such as ESG bonds, and
Mhm.
opening that out to retail.
So here's a question. If I was a business owner and I want to retire, right? Could I guess, essentially farm out the sale of my business to the community and then have the community just buy it up in a bunch of little chunks?
Strictly speaking, yes. Yeah. Our first products which we're bringing to market are commercial real estate. So we've got some product which is backed by the Irish state. We've got
Nice.
ESG bonds, and then we've some company raises. And we're looking to launch in quarter 2.
Fantastic. So that's a really cool usage for it, right? Because the rate at which people are retiring and the rate at which people are, I guess getting handed the businesses or passing them down. Like I'll give you an example. In my neck of the woods in Canada, there's a bunch of people retiring from like, for example, the tax prep space, right? So it's a tax preparation office. And their kids, they see dad working his ass off during tax season, and they don't want to touch it with a 10 foot pole. We're like, no, no, thank you, right? Plus, they can't really do the math because this next generation, not so good at math. So yeah, like these guys have this problem where essentially they have no one to sell to because there's no valuation for this on the market, right? The kids don't want it, so they can't hand it down. So why not hop on your platform and just dispense to the community because there's
Tokenize
only
it
two things that are certain in life, right? Death and taxes. And if you can make tax, if you can monetize tax, that sounds great. So
It does, and funny enough, I think it's a big part of where tokenization is going, and I think in actual real world use case, it's
hmm,
for succession. So an awful lot of people will look to at retirement planning. So it might be a process over a 10, 15, 20 year period where they can
yes.
look to sell down portions of companies or portions of real estate.
That's excellent. And so, my advice to you people who are looking to sell your company and whatnot, I mean, you should totally take a look at this Propto platform, but then also reconsider selling the entire thing, right? Maybe you might stay on as an advisor, hold 10% of it still, right? Even into retirement, still
Absolutely.
enjoy the cash flow from 10 points, right? But 90% of the offload goes to the community or whoever ends up purchasing the asset, right?
That's it. And for us, the blockchain is being used what it was originally designed for, which is a ledger in the background. So
Right.
it's not a marketplace where you can buy and sell 24/7. You're not reliant, you're not waiting on a market to open, you're not waiting on international bank transfers 3 and 5 days. You're removing all
Mhm.
the traditional back office administration.
Fantastic. And so this thing handles all of the back office admin, including compliance, yeah?
Yeah, including compliance. So what we've done is we've spent the last 2 years building up a fully regulated umbrella, which
Mhm.
includes MiFID, investment brokerage, and MyCar compliance. And we're Ireland's first entrant into the EU blockchain sandbox for tokenization. So with partnerships, we can open that from the EU into Asia and into the US.
Beautiful. So I'm curious, with all these different moving parts and pieces, what's the most exciting piece of the project for you? Just you personally.
Most, Yeah, for me personally, probably the most exciting bit was working with Ripple. So
Mm.
was working with Ripple. So we've just become a Ripple scale partner. And it was for us coming from TradFi was finally getting that breakthrough and recognition from the Web3 community, that
Mm,
what we are building can change and can bring real TradFi business on chain.
fantastic. Cool, cool. Well, you were mentioning in terms of like just the business and everything else, commercial properties, right? So one of
Correct.
the things that then this is a random question off the cuff, right? I have a weird background, like comp sci, finance, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things that we have here, and this is going to sound weird, and this is coming out of left field, so I apologize. It's called tax advantage real estate. Tax advantage real estate, and what we do is we allow people to mass purchase, so on a platform such as yours, and then what happens is because the way we do the accounting for it, all of the expenses come out in the beginning. So like we'll buy like a commercial strip mall or whatever. And then what happens is that we do this as a whole. There's obviously, every time you acquire property, there's some disarray. You got to clean up some stuff. And because of all the expenses that we do, we actually eat all the expenses up front, and then we slowly drip back the client's principal. And because we're doing it via principal first, it's a return of capital. And since it's a return of capital, it's not taxable. And then what happens is that as the property, over time, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, like you're saying, the long form game starts to goes back to appreciation, right? All of your cash flow is returned to you in a form of return. And since it's return of capital, no tax. And then as it hits the fruition at the end, you're closer to retirement. And people who do this, they plan it ahead. By the time they retire, their income is dropped. So by the time they start earning cash flow from the property, it's just supplemented their income. So it's essentially tax advantaged real estate. I know that came out of
Fantastic
left
idea.
field, but is that a
Yeah,
concept
no,
that runs through
fantastic
your
idea.
platform?
Yeah, do you know what? Look, once you are bringing on a product which is meeting tax requirements and it's in a regulated environment, it's
Mm.
exactly what could go through the platform.
Oh,
But
beautiful.
it needs to be compliant, yes.
Mm,
So what we've done is we built a full asset management and asset issuance CRM
okay.
specific for real estate. So my background was real estate. Our business partner's background initially was real estate and banking.
Mm,
So it's the area we've come from, and it's exactly where we aim to push the business forward early in this year.
that's
So
fantastic.
yeah, it can be done.
Cool. I'm sorry that came out of left field, but I'm
No,
just
no, great,
fascinated by these architectures and structure, right? So it's like, hey, that's really neat. Very cool. That's super interesting.
very
Okay,
cool.
well, um, I guess we move on to the next piece here, where it's just when you're not building, this architecture for Propto. And I'm gonna this is a both of you question because Eduardo's here too. So, Steve, what do you do for fun when you're not sitting in front of the computer?
I'm a motorbike nut. Motorbike and mountain biking.
Oh,
They're my
nice.
two hobbies. So I rebuild motorbikes in my off season. Don't ride them half enough, and
Mm.
do a little bit of mountain biking.
Oh, that's fantastic. I used to ride as well, but then I had kids, and then the funny thing is, my kids are all older now, so it's time for us to get back on the bike. So
Perfect time to
I'm
get
really
back in.
looking forward to that.
Perfect
I'm
time.
really looking forward to that. So that's fantastic. What what
Excellent.
what what kind of bike do you ride now?
So I've a couple. So I'm mainly older bikes, a couple of 252 strokes, an old
Hmm,
Suzuki RG 250, and then I'm
nice.
currently rebuilding a GPZ 900, the bike made famous from Top Gun.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah,
That's a very good choice. So
yeah.
I
You can
am
guess my
not.
age just by those two bikes.
Fair enough. I'm not mechanically inclined, so I kind of stick to just the good old Honda CBR. So, and I don't need
Nice,
that much punch. So like a 500, 600 is enough. I think, a
perfect.
1,000 would be a
Yeah.
little overkill for a guy like me. I just don't use that much oomph. So there you go.
The truth is, 90% of CBO riders don't either. Most they're powerful bikes, but great fun.
Yeah, it's just my little commuter back and forth downtown, right? So
Ah,
it's a
wow,
fun it's a
very
fun
cool.
way to
You
get from
commute
point A
on
to
a
point B.
CBR.
Yep.
That's hard.
So there you
That's
go.
hardcore. It's cool. You
So
you're,
it's
you
pretty.
you must have much better roads in Canada than we have in Ireland. You wouldn't be able to commute on a CBR too easily in Ireland.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, a fun fact is that my first CBR, my very first one, the learner bike, was only a 125 cc. And the hilarious thing is my lawnmower has more cc's than that. So, it was a great learner bike, but yeah, it's too slow now. Anyway, Eduardo, why don't we just go to jump to you? Like, what hobbies and fun things do you do when you're not developing and building Propto?
That's a hard one. I guess that when I'm not developing Propto, I'm developing other things. I like building. I like sitting in front of the computer, and I guess that's my hobby. So, which is good in one way, but it's quite exhausting on the other way. But yeah,
Oh, fair
so
enough.
for the past 2 years, that's been my hobby, my
Okay.
work, and most of my life.
So we got to get Steve and I to convince you to hop on a bike one day. So
Very much so.
get
Very
outside and
Yeah,
much
stretch
I
your
so.
legs.
need that. I need that.
Yeah, there you go. Very cool. All right, so
Uh, uh,
why don't we move on to question number 3 then? And it's give the viewership a reason to reach out and connect with you guys. So give them a reason and tell them where you want to go. Like what platform is it that you want to grow the most right now, and where do you want your users to go? And then give them a reason to connect. I mean, because we had some really cool discussion. Like, I mean, I want to talk to you guys later, but I have some apartment buildings we need to talk about. But yeah, like
Fantastic.
where should we send the viewership and give them a reason to come connect?
Excellent. Well, look, if you're interested in democratizing access to institutional grade assets,
Hmm.
or if you're looking to sell your own assets, come to propto.com. So Ireland's first entered into the EU blockchain sandbox, or follow us on Twitter or X at Reclosure Dex, which is our Propto page. Delighted to meet the community, and if free, we can very quickly do a demo of the product and give you an overview of what we built.
Yeah, sure. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to give you guys screen share access. Do. And you guys can quickly just show us what you got. Eduardo, you have screen share, my friend.
Okay. Okay, so the platform, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Perfect. So, okay, so essentially the platform is as straightforward as can be. The user creates an account and they see essentially their investment opportunities, these financial assets that we were mentioning earlier.
Hmm.
What we are buying here are either shares or bonds, and here we see a lot of commercial real estate. So that's a particular case of shares. So we are buying here shares of companies that operate commercial real estate,
Yes.
and they pay dividends at the end of the month. So the
Excellent.
user they explore what the opportunities there are here. They see pictures. They see who's the team behind that, who's the asset manager, who's the legal team, who's the owner, and in general, it's who are the people who are going to make sure the dividends are being paid. And yeah, so the legal documentation can be explored, the location, yeah, things like past
Wow.
transactions. And essentially, the process to buy is you click buy, you select how many shares, how many tokens you want to buy, and you click place order, and you buy them. You pay with fiat. So although we work on the blockchain, we don't use crypto by default, but instead the user pays with fiat. This fiat
Hmm.
gets on-ramped into cryptocurrency, into stablecoin, and then we mint tokens to a newly created wallet for the customer. But we also take custody of the user's wallet unless they explicitly want to have self-custody. All that is done to make easy, user-friendly workflows. They don't need to deal with Wallet Connect, with MetaMask, and all that tech stuff. But instead, they just buy shares the same way they buy a pair of shoes online. And that's it. So they have a dashboard where they can review the shares they have, the performance of their investments, and they have access also to a secondary market, which looks pretty similar to the primary market, but with the additional feature that we can sell. So you can place buy orders, you can place sell orders, and it's literally a limit order book where you can place on the buy and sell on the open market, and that's it. So that's all there is. You explore the investment opportunities, you pay, and you get the tokens, and that's pretty much it. We keep away all that's related to crypto, so the user doesn't need to care about that.
Right. So the blockchain is here, but not necessarily essentially crypto. So that's
So
that's kind of a neat thing. So you like you guys said, you're using the ledger as a ledger, and then you're able to,
Exactly.
buy into shares of. I mean, this is really cool. Like, I mean, I wish this existed, when I was a kid, right? Because I can teach my kids how to do this, right? And then, instead of having to pay them allowance, I just give them investment,
Exactly.
and then they get their dividend, and that's their allowance. So that's pretty cool.
Imagine how cool it would be to buy an income producing asset that'll pay you a monthly dividend, but now you can choose to have exposure to, say, Bitcoin as the form of your dividend payment. Well, that's the type of product we're bringing in. So these are traditional investments for people that want real ownership of real fixed assets, but now they have the option to either receive cash, fiat, stablecoin, or a digital asset as form of dividend. So that could be Bitcoin, Ethereum, doesn't matter.
Right. Then they can double dip. They can stake their
Double
tokens
dip.
if they want. And so that's fantastic. This is a really cool platform. Thank you for sharing this, guys.
Not at all. There's a lot more to it. So Eduardo's built a very large institutional grade CRM. So our background, I ran a real estate firm. Eduardo came from Airbus and Fraunhofer Institute, so he was AI and cyber. We have the former managing director of Bank of America on our team, Morgan Downey, former CEO of IPSX Stock Exchange out of the UK, Roger Clark, and two former directors at Goldman's. We completely self-funded here to date, and we were very lucky on the regulatory piece. One of our co-founders was former head of legal at Citi.
Hmm.
So we completely self-funded this product. But what we haven't shown you is a very large asset management and asset issuance CRM that removes the complexities of listing and managing the sale of real world assets. So it makes it very streamlined for an asset owner to onboard their legal team in order to sell product.
That's fantastic. I also like how it makes it easy for consumers to do their due diligence because it exposes the legal team, it exposes the accounting team, it exposes the property management team. This is fantastic. Uh, Guys, really good job on the project. This is really cool.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So thank you for the kind words. We're very excited to get it out to market. We've been building it for 2 years. We've been planning it for 4 or 5 years. We've been
Mhm.
building it for 2 years. The largest part is the asset management and issue and asset issuance CRM, which we haven't shown here, but we'd gladly do another time. Um,
Absolutely.
and and that's really to remove all the complexities. And our biggest, we know that real world assets are going to perform. They really will be the next big wave of innovation. But in order to do that, we need to make life easy for TradFi. And if we
Mhm.
look at whether it's banks, it's real estate agents, it's asset managers, commercial real estate firms, a lot of them don't really understand crypto or blockchain. So we've had to
Right.
build them a solution.
But the fact that you make it user friendly, right? Like there's no
It is very similar to
necessarily.
what they already use. Correct.
Well, yeah, there's no necessarily like, Web3-ish looking things. Like you said, there's no weird wallet connect stuff. It looks very Web 2y. Everybody who normally uses this stuff, it feels like I'm on a shopping cart buying, like you said, a pair of shoes. So that's really cool. So absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so
That's
much
it.
for being on the show. I really
Thank you
appreciate
for
you
having us.
doing the demo at the end there. That's really cool. And I really
Really
appreciate what you
appreciate it.
guys are doing. This is really cool.
Thank you very much. We are just starting our fundraise now. We didn't want to raise money until we had built our team, built our
Mm,
product, and got our licensing umbrella in place. So we're literally just starting our own fundraise as we speak. That's equity in our business,
mm,
and we will look to launch our own crypto token compliantly under MyCar
mm.
within the next 2 quarters. So we've exciting year ahead.
Beautiful. Well, again, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate you guys very
Thank you
much.
for having us. Really appreciate your time.